Alex, hello, we're back.
We're back at him. How's it going?
Good, how are you? Why are you laughing at me?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at our fantasy league.
Well, because you know what, man? Listen, all I have to say is I want people to care about our fantasy league. And right now, I feel like there's a clear divide. What?
No, nothing. Go.
I'm just
There's
saying, it's trades are starting to happen, luckily, and there's a bit of zest. I think Will made his first waiver move all year today. And he considering he's the deputy commissioner, I need more. I need
I
more.
listen. All I'm saying is you picked this group of people, and you expected it to go smoothly. Like I'm gonna have to put a little bit of blame on you. I said at the beginning. I think I said to Mike at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the season. Sorry, I said Adam is gonna hate fantasy after the end of this year. And
Probably, yeah.
I'm on track for being right.
Listen, I got David Pastrnak today, so I'm in a good mood. I basically, except for Bergeron, I've got like the core of the Boston Bruins. Still got to get a goalie off Daniel though, but I've heard rumors, by the way, that
Heard
someone may be
rumors.
returning to the show by February 1st.
I've
Through
heard
the
them as
grapevine.
well.
Okay, good. All right, well, let's start the show anyway. Talk about hockey. Oh God, no, Alex, do we just start with the Canucks and get it out the way?
Sure.
All right, Alex, Rick Tocchet, he's the head coach. What a surprise.
Yeah. No. Who's who saw this one coming?
Not me.
No. I
Not
listen.
Elliot Friedman.
So didn't get to listen to 31 Thoughts. Is it true that he actually said
That's someone from Vancouver.
someone from Vancouver blamed him?
No. He got radioed there. He said
Okay.
someone called him and accused him, but he did not say a Vancouver member of management called him and said that it was Phil. No.
Oh,
That being a reference to that he got a call and someone was trying to blame him. And even during the press conference of introducing Rick Tocchet, Jim Rutherford seemed to have been putting blame on the media. Did you get a chance to watch the press conference? Or did you just find?
I didn't get to watch the entire thing. I saw the bits and pieces, but I imagine it was
an hour.
Yeah, I imagine it was as depressing as the first one he did.
I don't think he or Patrick Alvine came across it very well. I watched about half of it, and the rest I got quotes from. Something for me personally, I'm always a big fan of the placement during a press conference. I think it's very important. You know what stuck out in me watching that press conference, Alex?
What?
Who is the focus of a press conference of introducing a new coach?
It should be the new head coach.
So if you were to assume, in case you haven't seen the photos of the press conference, where should Rick Tocchet have been sitting by that logic?
In the middle.
And guess who was sitting in the middle?
Wasn't it Patrick Alvine?
It was, which
Yeah.
I just didn't seem to little thing there. But I mean, what are some of the big highlights?
There was a photo going around saying it's a Pokemon evolution because it was Rick Tocchet, Patrick Alvine, Jim Rutherford.
Slowly older. Yeah,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
Reminding me of the Slack off line for any of you Gen 3 fans out there. Hey, ooh, Alex didn't get that reference. Do you know what the Slack off is?
I don't.
Do you know what the Vigoroth is?
No.
Do you know what the Slack King is?
No.
Do you know what Mewtwo is?
I do.
Okay, there we go. So you're not a complete sort of, what's the word? Oh, Alex, do you see what's right there on my computer screen? Bottom right.
Isn't that from?
That's the Lego BD1.
Oh, yes. You built it.
Isn't he cute? I
love
him.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, completely not me with hockey. But I mean, we talked so much about the Canucks lately. There was Jim Rutherford basically saying, I need to zip it a bit. Still being very
No, I want him. I don't want that. I don't want him to be quiet.
It was people didn't like when Jim Benning spoke because it felt like he never had PR training. Jim Rutherford just sort of sounds like Alex. I came out that press conference. I didn't come out of it. I wasn't there, obviously. But after watching it, I just got this sense of I don't know who the Canucks are trying to fool here. This whole thing of like, the media push it, even though you spoke openly about how you didn't want Bruce Boudreau since the beginning of the year. you know, I don't know what, even the TNT guys joking about it on the panel. So they definitely knew. I just don't know what type of game trying to smoke screen Jim Rutherford was trying to throw up.
In
But
what way?
it's
Like, what? Sorry, what do you mean? Like,
like trying to be like, it's not our fault all of this happened the way it did. It wasn't our fault it got leaked. It wasn't our fault that I said to in interviews, that I was being extremely Jim Rutherford admitted, yeah, I'm very honest in my interview. And just you gave it away. Since November, we've known that Boudreaux wasn't going to finish the season.
right?
For 2-3 weeks, we've known who the replacement's going to be. And for a couple of days, we knew who his staff are going to be. Come on now. It was completely on the Canucks. I hate this thing of trying to push it on the media. And listen, I'm not saying the media are perfect, Alex. They're not.
No,
But
but like, I agree because obviously, like, I've been very vocal the last few episodes in terms of how they've handled it, in terms of how things got out to the media. Like, listen, like, someone leaked it. Like, let's not be fools and pretending it what happened there. We all know what happened. But what I will say is I think when it comes to how it was handled from the media's perspective towards Bruce Boudreau, I think it was overdone in terms of, did you really need to, like, did it need to be a constant question towards him every day? Like, I understand Jim Rutherford's not available every day,
mm-hmm.
but does that mean you resort to asking the guy who we've all agreed is going to lose his job any minute now, asking him those questions? Like, that's you're trying to get a quote. Like, let's not pretend like it's something else other than it is. Mm-hmm. They're not digging for information because they're not going to get it from Bruce Boudreau, because first off, the information's already out, and Bruce Boudreau's doesn't have the answer that you think he does. You're trying to get the quote that you did, and they did that successfully. Mm-hmm. They did that. Like, let's be honest, they did that successfully because every time they knew what Bruce Boudreau was going to do. Let's not pretend like Bruce Boudreau is not an emotional person the same way that John Tortorella is an emotional person. They just show it in different ways. And Bruce Boudreau, they threw him the question and he hit it out of the park for them. Like, that's what happened, in my opinion, from the media's perspective. I thought it was a little excessive in how they handled it towards Bruce Boudreau. But yes, of course, they're going to report on it and ask certain questions.
It's the story. It's literally going into that game. Well, the first one was against the Oilers, and then his second last one against the Oilers, and the last one, was it the Avs, or was it the Avs then the Oilers? I can't remember. Sorry, but it doesn't. It takes a certain level of anarchy, maybe, that a story when McDavid's in town isn't about the game itself. I will say that, yeah, it's what else are they supposed to really ask? But,
or don't ask. You have the story. What quote are you going to get from Bruce Boudreau that's going to be spanking brand new? He doesn't have the answers. He does not have the answers you think he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So should we, just because I want to go back to the press, sorry, I don't mean to push it over. It's just,
that's okay.
There was something about the press conference that stood out to me a lot, right? Alex, we all know that everyone gets along a lot more when there's wins. Now, winning solves many issues. That's basically the line, right? In this press conference, the longer it went on, we basically heard it from Jim Rutherford, he's not going to be so honest. He's probably not going to be the guy doing all the media conferences. That'll be Patrick Allvin. But a lot of the answers Patrick Allvin had, and I thought maybe it was basically the PR line they were given. How do you get confidence back from the fan base? Well, they want to see wins. They haven't seen a banner in a long time. You know what I mean? It was their whole thing was, they'll forgive us when we start winning here. When the questions were all about process, and it just, I didn't think they looked good in that. Jim Rutherford had his own problems, and there were still some quotes where he went, ooh, okay, all right, and not doing yourself any favors there. Not that Jim Rutherford cares, but, I even thought Allvin at points was kind of like, man, is this, maybe you just don't get anyone to talk at this point. because yeah, winning solves all, but there's a process to get to winning here. You know what I mean? And what was it? Alvin himself apparently said to Rick Tocchet that they don't need minor surgery; it's a major operation type thing.
Mhm.
Um, I've never seen the question of public perception asked so much in a press conference, but then again, I don't think there's been such a public firing of a coach in how many years, besides maybe the Joe Quenneville stuff, but that's very, very different.
Different.
Um,
Uh,
and you know what I mean? It's just sort of I didn't like how Patrick Alvin sounded either, to be
well,
honest
I
with you.
think it's a lose lose. Like I'm not. Listen,
That's fair, yeah.
I've been very critical of that management group, but like I just being honest, like I think it's a lose. No matter how you answer that situation, that question, those type of questions, especially with the situation that they're in, I don't think you're coming out of that press conference looking good. Like what could they have possibly said that's going to change public confidence or the fan base's confidence of that management group right now? You just like you said, like we just spent the last 2 months trying to figure out who their new coach was, because we knew starting in November that Bruce Boudreau was not going to be that head coach for much longer, right? So there's no like I thought Jim Rutherford pretty much hit it spot on of what the Vancouver Canucks are looking at for the rest of the season when he said in his last press conference that he thought they were tanking. That's what it looks like from everyone on the outside to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it going well? Like this is much bigger than tanking, because there's clearly, it feels like there's issues within the organization once again at multiple levels, just like last year. There's issues all over the place. So we'll like, it's a lose-lose scenario, I think, for them, but that's the situation that Alvin, Rutherford and co put themselves in.
Well, I mean, so the Canucks do win their first game under Rick Tocchet.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the debate for if Tockett's the right coach is one for
The summer.
another day. Yeah. Because I know it's been had, but I mean, he was another guy losing into and his Twitter likes. That was a bit, it is what it is. But he wasn't gonna. They win that game, but 5 minutes in, there was a jersey tossed on the ice. Not surprised by that somehow. He was booed, which not surprised by that. Alex, just they talked about sort of not the exact words, but basically what they're going for is they want to see steps forward for the rest of the season. What does, and maybe the answer is actually more off the ice stuff, what does a good season look like for the Vancouver Canucks going forward?
Okay. They pick a direction, which means that and by that, I mean, someone's gone. Like either, and I don't know if this is possible, but either JT Miller, which is the unlikely one, or Bo Horvat, which is the more likely one, is gone. Gone.
Yep.
And they end up with a bottom 5 pick. Like, listen, like if they don't end up with, let's say they get a bottom 5 pick and it's not Connor Bedard, it's a deep top 5. You're still getting a really good prospect out of it. Yep. That would be the definition of success. Like looking at some of the younger guys, like you look at a Hoglander, you look at a Podkolzin, is there some type of progress there? That's what you're like. It's similar in a way to Montreal, but Montreal has none of the off ice issues that Vancouver has. So that's the big difference, where it's like, let's hope our younger guys take steps. Yep. The addition in Vancouver is, okay, we need to get rid of X, Y, and Z.
Niels Hoglander, I think he mentioned him, was mentioned by, or there was basically a thing of he was being mentioned without being mentioned. Yeah, man. JT Miller, of course, was mentioned. Not surprised by that. What was that line Tocchet have? He's pacing himself. And people were sort of saying, maybe he's pacing himself by not putting any energy into back checking, which I thought was pretty funny. It's really funny when you basically see a head coach is there, and one of the key issues is just to make a guy work. I don't think it's to make JT Miller happy, but it's just a thing of The way that contract is, they have to make it work, at least for now, to make him into a positive asset. But until the cap really starts going up, the thing we keep it's like a fairy tale at this point. We know it's coming, Alex, but that's not what a fairy tale is. I'm sorry. But until that happens, that big boost, they have to make Miller into something. And I
Yeah.
guess if Tocchet can do that at least, then it's a win.
Yeah.
That's their big one, I guess.
So I know we said we were going to have the conversation the other day about is he the right coach, but I think it pertains to this, where it's like Rick, with everyone's talking about you really replace Bruce Boudreau with Rick Tocchet and then listing all the things Bruce Boudreau does, not including the multiple game sevens that he's lost. He's not, Rick Tocchet is not here to win. Maybe in a few years, Rick Tocchet, as he is hired currently, is not here to win right now. Despite what people might say or what they think is going to happen, he's not here to win. That's just not it.
You know what I really hope we don't hear during the summer, Alex? Is let's say Vancouver are in the 1-7 range in the draft. Because I think it's the cream of the crop, I think, is 1-7. But obviously, like the top 5 is like yummy. But then it's still you're getting a hell of a player. That they do that, they re-sign Kuzmenko, they move Tyler Myers, they have cap space moved up, they spend it on a defenseman again in free agency, and they say the rebuild is over. One off year. Who was it? Remember Chicago had one off year and it's like we're rebuilding, and then they got Seth Jones, like we're done. I hope that doesn't happen. Because here's the thing, Alex. This is the golden question, and I'm surprised we haven't mentioned it yet. Because it feels like there's a certain, how in storytelling there's that thing of rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion.
Yeah.
Every story arc with the Canucks has one sort of thing that we mentioned in our segments too. How is Francesco Aquilini going to see this in this process? Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else on Vancouver, or can we take a break?
I think we could I think we can leave him alone for a couple of weeks.
Good.
Let him simmer for a little bit.
Oh God, yeah, not a rolling boil. Let's turn it down a bit, guys. Goodness gracious. Okay, where do you want to go now? It's wide open.
You decide.
Okay. I'm going to quickly just write something that I forgot to put on the document, but until later. But the Boston Bruins, they do beat the Habs last night, but I don't want to focus on the Habs because Linus Ullmark, before this win, became the second quickest goalie to win 25 games in a season. Now, apparently in the top 5 of quickest games, 3 of them are Bruins. and then Linus Ullmark is right there. And then it doesn't even matter because Jeremy Swayman gets the win last night. Man, I'll say this about that game, and maybe we can talk about the Habs after that, then go to the Leafs and go wherever. But here's the thing with the Bruins, man, is that it's just relentless hockey. It is relentless. And then you have Marsh. It's just like the Habs were sticking in it, right? But then who gets the dagger at the end of the game before the Pasternak game together? But Patrice Bergeron, because of course he does, starts the game like the first period. Suzuki beat Bergeron every faceoff. That first period. Something Arpin Basu joked, you frame that and you put it in your room or something.
Yeah.
Then it's just the Bruins it's not like a ferocious sort of comeback either. It's just they play their goddamn game. They come at you in waves and they just play such a word I never use. They play sublime. I can't even say it right, Alex. They play sublime hockey. That sublime. I'm so bad. I'm dumb. I should stop trying to use big words. It's just, man, I love watching the Bruins play hockey. It is sickening to me how good they are and how they never look out of games. This is a juggernaut, if I dare say so.
Wow, you threw out the word. It's okay. They'll regress next year, right?
Man, I don't know. It is sublime. God, I'm dumb. I can't say it. Man, see, here's the thing is maybe because when Bergeron goes, it's going to be whenever Bergeron does go, whenever that is. Listen, age eventually caught up to the San Jose Sharks. It's going to catch up to Boston eventually.
Unless they get Bo Horvat.
Which I mean, it's funny. Last night you're watching. I hear David Krejci, and his when Craig Smith was on that line. It's like, oh God, he's making it work. Guy was waived, and now he's back in the top six. And like Jake DeBrusk isn't even playing right now because he's hurt. And then they're gonna add him, or they're gonna add some monster at the deadline. It's gonna suck.
Yeah,
like they're not even. We're waiting for them to drop off, and they're just not doing it.
No, I don't think they will either.
Until the playoffs, then they are they gonna get the Tampa Bay and the Tampa Bay of what was it, 2018?
Oh God, where they get swept? Where they got swept?
Maybe not swept, but also there was that famous Detroit team that had like 60 wins and then flamed down in the playoffs. Like, does that happen to Boston?
I don't know. I don't think so. But the crazy thing would be is, okay, so they're obviously they're gonna finish first in the East, right? First in the Atlantic, like no problem, not even a question. Imagine you don't know about that. Who's gonna catch up to them?
Alex, I said that because I haven't looked at the standings in a couple of weeks.
They're 14 points ahead of the Leafs and the Hurricanes and the Devils, who are all tied with 66 points. I think they're going to win the President's Trophy.
Differential is double New Jersey's. What the hell?
Yeah. So
I knew they were ahead, but I didn't know it was like even ahead of the Hurricanes. Holy crap.
Can you imagine a first round matchup of Boston and one of Pittsburgh or Washington?
Is that what I mean?
That's what it's looking like, unless or Buffalo,
who are good for Buffalo. I mean,
Florida.
Man, imagine. You know what's funny? It's just I look at Buffalo. Sorry, side note here, but like I think of when the Leafs played the Caps in like 2017, young team on the way up, and then they just get like maybe they win 5 games, maybe. I mean, sorry, maybe they lose in 5 games and they get that one. Tate Thompson like puts on the show. Man, that would be, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Caps, even if they make it, or if it's Buffalo, they're not going to win. Even Pittsburgh at this point, I'm like,
no, but let's say Pittsburgh, right? Imagine that's a 7-game series, Bart. Like, no question.
I don't know about that.
No. But this is Boston
Their goaltending scares me.
Okay, that's fine, but they have they have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin.
Top like 30 player according to the Athletic. I don't know about that, but
Evgeny Malkin?
Yeah.
Since 1967?
I don't agree with that.
No.
I don't agree with that. I think they have well, it's on the show notes. We're getting to that later.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But I mean, even if the Bruins do beat one of those teams, which I mean, like I think like between the Sabres, the Caps, and the Pens, I think the Caps are probably the easiest option. But then they still have to go through one of Tampa or Toronto. Mm-hmm. And then if they want to win it all, they're probably going to have to get through. If you hit me to a lie detector test, who I think is going to come out the Metro, it's one of the Rangers or the Hurricanes. I love the Devils, but I just think they're too young and inexperienced. Yeah. I get Palat, but that's not enough. Like it's funny that they're this dominant, but they still have an extremely difficult road.
It's the playoffs.
Yeah, man. Do you think I'm not counting out the Leafs here? It's just I say this because the team I'm going to mention is this team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you give this Boston team the edge over in a 7-game series? The team that has, as you pointed out, since we started this podcast, every Cup final since we started this podcast has included the Tampa Bay Lightning because we started right after the Blues won. Do you think the Bruins could beat this Tampa Bay team in a 7-game series? As good as Ullmark's been, do you trust? Here's the big question. Does Ullmark outdo Vasilevsky? Or not even that, because I think Shesterkin was the better goalie when he played against them, not the better goalie overall. But can Ullmark be good enough against Tampa to get them past Vasilevsky? Sorry,
I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can be good enough. Like, man, that's a good question. Like, my gut says no. Like, I think Tampa can do it, but then here's the thing: is like Tampa's gonna add at the deadline. The question is what?
Shannon Horvat.
Like, what are they going to add? And it's going to be disgusting. Um, my gut goes with Tampa. That's huge recency bias, but I'd still go with Tampa in that series.
Wow. So it's gonna be difficult for Boston nonetheless, but man, they're great. Um, so yeah, they do play the Habs. The Habs stick with them for most of the game. A valiant effort. Another great performance from Sam Mountain, though. It's just not enough to stand up to the Bruins, though. It's just not enough. Especially, God, the Habs are being kept together by bubblegum right now. You know who continues to impress me, by the way, Alex?
Who?
2 goals last night for Kirby Dach. Great player.
Great player.
Fantastic player. Really happy. Man, the Blackhawks are weird. Why would you do that? Just, man, I just don't get it. You can be a good player for you. Anyway. You know what was most notable about that game last night, though, Alex?
Tell me.
Guess who was in attendance?
Last night.
Yeah. Austin in Montreal. Big name. Little man. The commissioner.
Oh my God. Why was he there? Where was it? In Montreal or in Boston?
I was in Montreal.
Why was he in Montreal?
He said, he's like, I love watching games here. I'm like, do you?
Do you?
I didn't even know you ever came to Canada, to be honest. Unless there was an event that made you.
Yeah.
Bettman was at the game. Obviously, he did do the press conference, which we did see, but it was, he was in Montreal.
Little man.
And the big line he had, which, basically saying there is no tanking in the NHL. Teams don't, what was it? They don't tank because of the weighted lottery odds. Which I will remind you, Alex, that since the new lottery odds came into effect, last place has won the lottery every time for first overall.
Like, what is this? Like, is this some sort of like game he's playing?
I mean, what's he gonna say, right? Yeah, we tank. I mean, it's not
dude,
good,
but it's a it's a plain out lie.
Well, you know what doesn't help, Alex? Is that in the past 2 weeks, we've heard Jim Rutherford and Kent Hughes both mention tanking without, Rutherford mentioned the term, but then you had Kent Hughes saying winning's good to a certain point, losing's bad to a certain point. Without mentioning it, you had basically the heads of 2 different Canadian markets, 2 very vocal Canadian markets, all been mentioned. I don't know, maybe him and Jeff Molson were mentioning, maybe rigging a certain lottery.
In the last decade, first off, like half of Canada has tanked. I'm sure we can list a whole list of teams.
I mean, yeah, the Sabres
who have tanked. Like
Sabres, the most obvious.
Nobody tanked. The
Coyotes.
The Coyotes for multiple years. Chicago this year.
Oh, Chicago's an all-time one, by the way. Right, this year they're all-time.
Columbus.
This year, no, they've just been riddled with injuries. You don't sign Gaudreau if you're going to tank, right?
Like, I don't know what to make about San Jose.
If not for Carlson, they're probably
Vancouver. Again, he just said it. Like, it looks like they're tanking. Montreal, yes. Ottawa.
They tried to be good. The rebuild was over last year, Alex.
Yeah. Philly, no. Philly's in between. Detroit definitely has. Like, you can, like, there's multiple teams.
Heiserman's the ones who the lottery sucks. We got to change it so it's better for last place.
Edmonton had done it on multiple occasions. Like, it's such a blatant lie that it's not even funny. I don't even find it humorous because it's so, yes, you're right, Gary. The players and coaches do not tank. You're right. You're right on that. That is the one factual argument I will give to him. In every other facet, it's a lie. It's happened on multiple occasions. The Leafs have done it.
He was seeing Sam Montembeault play last night, and he's like, yeah, that's someone who's not tanking right now, even though it's killing the fan base. I mean, yeah, but it's just the thing of what else was he going to go out there and say, because then you just sort of damage the reputation of the league.
Don't defend Gary. No, don't defend Gary Bettman right now.
I don't want to.
Don't defend Gary Bettman right now.
Do you know? Did you see some of the other stuff he was talking about?
No. What else did?
Apparently, they want to send the Habs overseas for a game. Which, yeah. So let's think. I think. Okay, well, I think right now the obvious answer would be Slovakia
Mm-hmm.
because they just drafted half of the country. Um, they don't have as many Finns anymore. France, they don't have any French players, but France. Wait, you know what I mean? You could kind of BS that, but I would think Slovakia would be a pretty good one to go to. Um,
Probably.
again, you saw because Thingy will be playing, Slavkovsky will be playing because assuming it's in the future. Um, you bring Mayshar if you want, just to be like, hey, Heidi ho, here he is. Do it against the Devils because then you can bring Nemitz around, and then
That's true.
bring out Gaborik and all that. And no, he's not Slovakian, is he? I never
Marion
remember which because
Marion
like
Gaborik.
yeah, is he Slovenian? Because I think it's
He's Slovakian.
he is okay. I'm thinking Kopitar Slovenian. I think I never know the difference.
He is Slovenian.
Yeah, he was part of Team Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you just bring out some of the goats from there, and then you make a whole thing of it. But I would think Slovakia if they were going to do it. Makes a lot
Probably,
of
yeah.
sense. Or I don't know, maybe you go crazy and go to I think it's what Nick Suzuki's part Japanese, even though they have clearly ignored the Asian market for years and they did like one game there. I don't know. You could do. That's too creative of thinking, isn't it?
A
But
little
Slovakia
bit.
is a pretty easy one. Mentioned apparently they're obviously not in expansion mode as we know, but he made it clear that Jeff Molson would support another team in Quebec. Obviously,
So now we just know it's Gary Bettman who wouldn't support. That's good to know. Let's cross
so
Jeff Molson off the list.
yes, so, and this is basically in reference to everyone saying, and Friedman has said this on 32 Thoughts before, that there would be concern about the revenues of what it would do to the Canadians if the Nordiques came back. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's basically it's the league who don't want to do it.
So it's just Gary and Bill. Let's circle their names. We have an answer.
Yeah. With Logan Mayhew, who was asked about because it makes sense. They haven't looked into anything to do with allowing him to play because they haven't been asked. So thanks, Gary. And apparently they're nearly done their Hockey Canada investigation. I thought it was done and they were waiting for
Nearly.
police.
Nope.
I thought they was reported on 32 Thoughts a couple months ago.
They said
Maybe a
they were
month ago.
almost done. They were
Okay.
almost done a month ago. Now they're nearly done.
Is this kind of like Pasternak inching? God, no, I'm not going to go the contract. But yeah, good for. I mean, great. Let's get this done. He did sort of say, obviously, it's not as easy because they don't have the power to subpoena people. Listen, if there's one thing I can trust Gary Bettman about, it's making excuses to not make the full effort. But God, he sucks. I get it. I'm like, yeah, you don't, but it's still kind of like whatever. I just I know they're not going to do their due diligence. I think that's everything there. Did you put in the Samsonov stuff, or is this
No,
Daniel?
it wasn't
Okay, so
me.
there are a few things here that I think Daniel has put into the thing. Because the question is here: is Samsonov your true number one? When do we talk about extension? So I
Hmm.
think it's right now he is the number one. He got the game against the Habs. That's the number one goalie to me.
Um, I don't know if that's. I don't think that's how they see it, but that
Well, I need to check something actually, Alex. Sorry,
okay.
just continue your
I
thought.
don't necessarily think that's how. Uh, Listen, man, this is an organization who's trotted out Michael Hutchinson on Saturday night hockey, okay, or hockey night in Canada. Like, let's not pretend like they haven't done some abysmal things when it comes to their goaltenders.
Okay.
I think I don't think it makes sense. Like, yes, at this literal moment, he is number one at this literal moment, but that could very much change next week. You know what I mean? Like, I think and they were talking about it in the summer, and they were like, inside some of the insiders were saying like they viewed Matt Murray as the 1A and Samsonov as the 1B. When do we start looking at extension? Oh God, I don't know. I don't really want to think about that. Like, let's get through the playoffs, like, or let's get through the season, and then we can figure out what number he gets. Because I think he's still an RFA. So, um, it's a bit messy there. Like if he wants to come back, I would be more than happy to bring him back next year. Like he's been, especially at home, he's been really good. Obviously he's had, like, again, he's not a starting goalie in my head. I don't think he hasn't really proved that in here, nor had he done that in Washington. So I think to just say he's your number one, I think is a bit short-sighted right now. But if he wants to come back, I definitely bring him back as some type of platoon.
RFA with arm rights, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, which is always like great. Hey, he seems to like it there. So did Jack Campbell. Apparently he's starting to get a little better.
The fantasy points tell me that.
Yeah, well, thanks Yahoo for not telling me that Chris Letang was back. Guy has a 4-point night. Thanks. Appreciate it. I hate Yahoo so much. We talked about Linus Ullmark. Johnny Gaudreau returned to Calgary to a chorus of boos, as was to be expected.
Who saw that one coming?
Had a penalty shot in the first period. Missed the net on said penalty shot. There were things said in our group chat by our favorite Albertan, which I will not say here, but I will say that he was very happy about it.
Man, that was a tough game for Johnny Gaudreau.
It's almost like a high pressure situation. Johnny Gaudreau is not the same player as he is in the regular season. Ooh, I thought you've heard that before.
Is he talking about Max Pacioretty or Johnny Gaudreau?
I mean, not, I just, but God, Max Pacioretty. I hope he's okay, by the way. With that,
I know.
But yeah, man, was bad under pressure. God, I hated him. Oh God. Okay, so there is one thing. Apparently, I can't find it anymore. Oh yeah, so no. So apparently, going into game day, Darryl Sutter basically pointed out he was disappointed to lose Johnny Gaudreau. But remember at the start of the year when he was like, hey, remember how great Jonathan Huberdeau is, and he's the best passer in the league, and anyway. On 32 Thoughts, there was this whole thing basically that Friedman talked about that with the Tkachuk and the Gaudreau line with Lindholm last year, they could score their way out of trouble with the Flames. They can't do it this year, Alex. We've talked about they don't really have the finishers. Mangiapane hasn't sort of been the same either.
He hasn't been eating that bread,
He's not eating that bread, but he got his bread in the summer, so that's good. He got his money. He can retire. He's got that money. He's got millionaire. He's a millionaire. Good for him. He made the bread, but basically saying that message has sort of really affected some of the players. Now, I will also mention, apparently Jacob Peltier's agent sort of said it was being overblown, and apparently him and Peltier have a good relationship, aka Peltier and the coach, Darryl Sutter, and apparently there's just, maybe it was a thing of Sutter wanted more attention on the team rather than just here's this individual, whatever it is, but there's still smoke in Calgary, Alex. There's still smoke there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're barely in a playoff spot. I don't even think they're in one right now. They're fighting to be in the wild card after they finished first in the did they finish first in the Pacific last year?
I'll double check for you.
They either finished first or they should. I think they finished first. Like after having a season like that and the major reconstruction that core had, it's definitely got to be a little disappointing to see how it is. So literally they did, right? Any small issue, I think, is just automatically going to get overblown.
I got 111 points. God, they were good last year. What happened? Josh Norris' season is over. Came back, played some games. I think he did score actually, but the same shoulder, surgically will be getting surgery on again. Again, it is the same injury that kept him out the first half of the year. Do we question if that was an early return for Josh Norris?
I mean, we can. It'd be pure speculation, but
yeah.
Would it again once again, like we were talking about with Caulfield last episode, Would it be a surprise?
I never am, never am.
Right.
All right. Two more things I want to talk about. First off, some love for the women's game. I believe Daniel put this in as well.
Sure.
Sure. Okay, but see, I'm asking,
I,
did you or did
I
they?
did not. I did not.
Okay, there we go. I didn't even see this, so it talks about how it's been promoted. Shout out Daniel, he's got his eyes on the board. NCAA star Darryl Watts. I believe she's like the second highest scorer ever in the NCAA. I tried to look up who number one was. I couldn't find scoring. Like it's not easy to find. I was thinking maybe like Jen Botterill, because wasn't she like a superstar in the NCAA or something? Remember they were talking about streaks in Hockey Canada when Marner had his, and they brought up her streak there, and apparently it was stupid, stupid good. Anyway, record deal. It's worth American money, by the way, so even better for her. 150K with the Toronto Six and the PHF. There also was another thing here about it's a 2-year deal. The salary cap is basically intending for next season to double for them up to $1.5 million. I'm not very good at math, so I can't exactly sit here and say, you know what, Alex, let's talk about the percentage of cap there. But if you think about back in the days, some of the other leagues when it was like players getting 25K, it's nice to see a player sort of start making, real livable money from playing the sport.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a step up from what it was before, and it just shows the growth of the women's game for sure. Sorry, I'm looking for the score. I see if I can find it as well. The all-time leaders.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You thought it'd be easier to find and you think maybe the NCAA would have something up right away, but no. I thought it was very weird. I thought it was very, very weird. Again,
I can't find it right now. I can't find it right now. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. But hey, you love to see it. And let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Toronto Six don't love that team very much, but we'll forgive that. We'll forgive that. Okay, Alex, something we haven't talked about, and I was going
to. I found it.
Okay, thank you.
Megan Acosta from Mercyhurst, who has 303 points in 4 years.
That's stupid. Do you know how many games?
It doesn't say. It's from an article. I can see if I can find the number, but it's just from an article.
I mean, maybe there's an elite prospects page
that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, fair enough.
I found it.
Okay.
In 134 games.
Oh, that's pretty good.
She had 157 goals.
Geez, you think you ever get bored of it? Oh goodness. Last thing to talk about here, Alex. I was gonna wait until this was done. The Athletic have slowly been releasing. This is the headline of the story: NHL '99, a project ranking the greatest players in modern NHL history. They're doing 99 for. You ever heard of Wayne Gretzky? And we all know who, as the article sort of jokes, who number one is going to be.
We do.
Now, this is post 1967 expansion. So what's annoying about this, Alex, is do you know who is technically not going to be on this list?
Who?
Gordie Howe.
Mm-hmm.
Is not going to be on the Athletics 99 best mark. I just think it's a little insulting to have a list, and obviously the greatest French player of all time, Maurice Richard, will not be on the list either. See, I don't think he's going to be on the list. But I think like Guy Lafleur is on it obviously and stuff. So you won't find like Bobby Hull's on here, Maurice Richard, Howie Merez. It's just I just had a bit of a problem that we're not going to go and see. We're not going to see Gordie Howe on the list. But here's what I wanted to mention, Alex. On this, and we talked about this specific article to do with Carey Price a couple weeks ago. He is number 88 on this list. Why is that relevant? Well, because I wanted to quickly look. Roberto Luongo, first ballot Hall of Famer, is 63. Okay. And Henrik Lundqvist is, not 77. It's trying to, I'm pretty sure it's 50, but I want to fact check as I'm going here. Henrik Lundqvist is 50. They have Henrik Lundqvist as the 50th best player in NHL history. That far ahead above Carey Price. That far ahead of Roberto Luongo. I also want to mention the greatest players in modern hockey history. They do not have Leon Draisaitl on this list, which you could think maybe he has a young career. But here's the problem with that. They have Austin Matthews at 64 right now. No disrespect to Austin Matthews. They have him ahead of Doug Gilmour, ahead of Mike Gardner already, and one spot ahead of three-time Stanley Cup champion Jonathan Toews. I have my problems with Toews. Marty St. Louis is 62, by the way, so you love to see that. But you're just looking at some of the guys. Nikita Kucherov is 72. Drew Doughty is 73. Nathan MacKinnon is 74. Stamkos, 75. Right now, they have Austin Matthews ahead of them. Connor McDavid is 16. Who is 17, Alex? Would you like to know? It is a former Oiler.
Isn't it like Mark Messier?
Mark Messier. I just want to sort of point out, by the way, they had Martin Brodeur, where he should be at 21, and they've just released number 11, which is Patrick Waugh, which I believe will probably have the first goalie in their ranking as Dominic Hasek. Fair, as long as it wasn't.
Great argument for that too.
Yeah, you know what? Because Daniel is such a Martin Brodeur fan, I'm such a Patrick Waugh guy. We never actually on this podcast give respect to Dominic Hasek, but we should more. I just think it's a little stupid the way they've done this. They have a list that they specifically do modern stuff to keep out Gordie Howe. Yeah. And you have, again, no disrespect to Austin Matthews.
I don't have an issue with the modern stuff. I don't understand the issue with the modern stuff.
How can you put
like it's a silly
David there?
No, I agree. I just don't see why this like it's the same argument as the trophy stuff. I understand. I'm saying like I don't think it's as disrespectful to leave him off the list knowing what the list is about.
It's Mr. Hockey though.
Okay, but 99% of hockey fans know who that is. We know where he ranks. I don't think we need to throw him on the list. There's probably a good chance most of the people don't. There's a lot of people who don't know the history behind any of these players.
Do you know what their argument for not having Gordie Howe, by the way, is? And they do say, is it sacrilege to have a best of all time without Mr. Hockey? They say maybe. First off, but Howe only played 369 NHL games from 67 onwards, 6 seasons in the WHA, so he's out. So they do acknowledge it. I just think it's a bit stupid if he did technically play there.
I went to go, this is completely off track, but I went to go look at something because I was curious. I pulled up Matthews' career and then I pulled up Doug Gilmour's career just to see the differences. So Matthews already has more than half of Doug Gilmour's career goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to say he should be above Doug Gilmour. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I just thought that was crazy.
Now, they do have a point system for trophies, but they don't include Stanley Cups. Now, now I'm trying to be objective as possible here, but Alex, I'm going to make it personal now. I think it is so stupid. And again, personal because of the player I'm about to mention. You cannot make any excuse to me that at this point, by the end of their careers, who knows, but you cannot tell me definitively in a top 99 list, you have Carey Price about 20 spots behind Roberto Luongo and 33 spots behind Henrik Lundqvist, when advanced numbers say that Carey Price is better, if not the same level as Henrik Lundqvist, and that you put Austin Matthews ahead of Carey Price, a franchise leader in wins. How dare you? I mean, how dare you? That's personal, though. That's personal. I will acknowledge that is personal for me. That's personal. I think it's stupid. That's me, though. I'm done. I don't like bringing up lists because I think they're dumb, but the Athletic are a different sort of, I have respect for the Athletic, but that's dumb.
No, it's
how dare you?
It's a list, man. That's what they do.
Yeah. Remember when everyone made a big deal about Joe Thornton not being 100 best player, and then so these guys have him in the top 50? Yeah, I think that was done on purpose.
Is that
Yeah.
what they said? Where is Joe Thornton?
I think he's
What
like,
number is he?
I think he's around 30. Just do the control F
Oh, I
thing.
found it. He's 32.
He's 30. Joe Thornton,
Yeah, what's the
32nd
argument?
best player
Let's
of
see.
all
Let's see.
time. He's good. Like,
Not
trust
of
me.
all, not of all time since 1967.
Yeah, since 1967. Yeah,
There's a difference. There's a difference. I don't
love
understand.
hockey games.
I don't understand your problem with that though.
I
Like
just,
it's doesn't make sense. I don't understand the issue.
I just don't think he's that high.
Okay, no, that's not what I'm asking you about. I'm asking.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
understand the issue. I don't understand the issue. Yeah, you're right. He's not 30th since
No,
1967.
okay, good. I thought we were gonna.
No, I don't
Gonna be
understand
like,
what the issue with the 1967 is. Like
I
from
just
that
think
point onwards.
I just think it's stupid. I just don't like you. Like, by
But
the way,
we're talking about a league
realize,
we're talking about a league that's over 100 years old. We're talking about probably thousands of players. Like now, then we're gonna have the issue of, okay, well, comparing Johnny Bower to Carey Price is unfair because Johnny Bower played in the 1940s and 1950s. Like it's
Price is also better than Johnny Bower.
okay, but that's not the point.
Yeah, that's me having
That.
I know what you mean.
What
I know what you. Yeah. By the way, one quick thing, and I will respond to you in a second. Thornton 32, a Ginla 34.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that. Come on, I think you should. I don't know about that. Come on,
I don't. Yeah, no. There's no excuse for Joe Thornton at 32.
Malkin over Peter Forsberg. I don't know about that. I like Peter Forsberg a lot, though. I will acknowledge I like. It's just sort of like they had to nitpick to get Gordie Howe off because he technically played in that era. Technically, he did. I just think it's that's the one name. Everything else I'm cool with. I think it's just the thing of that they had to dissect their rules to cut out Gordie Howe. I mean, like, okay, so who's 99 here? Sorry, who is like who was so important that we had to be like, we can't just throw Gordie Howe in there. Sorry, let me just double check this. I'm being petty. I know it, but it's just like, who the hell was 99? I need to know who was so important. The 99th best player. Okay, so they do have 100 here. What the hell?
Well, number one is Wayne Gretzky, so it stops at 2.
So, I mean, it's just quick question. Where do you personally put Gordie Howe all time, by the way?
Top 5.
Top 5? Okay, no, but where exactly? I get obliterated for my hockey takes. I'll have to make sure you suffer the same fate.
I don't know my order. I don't have my order off the top.
Yeah, I know it's difficult.
But it's a tough one. But you know what's like? Sorry, we're talking about. I was just scrolling through the list. I think it's extremely disrespectful that where I just passed him. Peter Stastny is 56. He had the most points in the second most points in the 80s.
Behind, come on,
behind Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, behind Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, that proves my point.
Yeah, I get it.
To have him at 56.
We had to make sure we hit 100, and we had to make sure we put Marc-Andre Fleury on the list. By the way, but I'm just mentioning. Oh, by the way, Marc-Andre Fleury at 100. Wow, they really, wow, that's tough for Fleury. But yeah, no, that's the Stastny. I didn't think you'd get upset about Peter Stastny, but
he has the most points in the 80s, and he's in the 50s. That's disrespectful. That's unbelievable. Okay, question. We're gonna do this one. Okay, so a certain defenseman is at 52 and another one is at 60.
Okay, wait, who's at 60?
Erik Karlsson.
Okay, and who's at the other one?
Who do you think is at 52?
At 52?
Yeah.
Are they playing now?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Doughty, is it?
No.
Doughty's in like 70, isn't he? Sorry, where's Karlsson?
60.
And
this unnamed player is at 52.
What team did he play for?
I can't tell. No, it gives away the answer. It'll 100% give it away.
It's not Lidstrom. He hasn't been named.
No, he plays right now. He plays right. This person plays right now.
It's not Cale McCarr, is it?
No, no,
Duncan Keith?
no.
Okay. He plays right now,
Yeah,
and
yes,
he's
yes,
in that conversation. Hedman?
yes.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
You don't
I
know
think
about
I
Carlson
think
over Hedman, or sorry, yeah,
yeah,
Hedman.
I'm very biased to that. Again, if we're
Oh, I
not
think
counting
it's not
Stanley
even. I
Cups,
think it's all do. Yeah, but it's more than Stanley Cup. Like you look at Eric Carlson, yes, he dragged the
ah,
Ottawa Senator. Wait a second.
Alex,
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Alex.
Wait a second. Wait a second. He dragged the Ottawa Senators to the conference finals that one time. 100%. I'm gonna give him that. He's no. He is. He is the best offensive defenseman of that generation.
Are you about to do what I think you're gonna do?
Victor Hedman has. I understand they have Andre Vasilevsky, but you cannot tell me the importance of Victor Hedman to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
All right, so Hedman's higher.
On my list, yes.
Okay, sir. On the actual list, sorry, one more time. Who's higher? They
Hedman
have
at
Carlson.
52. No,
Wait.
52 is Hedman.
So your argument. Okay, so basically, what you're doing here
I'm
is
agreeing with the Athletic.
but you
Yes,
are bringing it up just because you know I'm the biggest Eric
correct.
Carlson.
I just wanted to see what you thought.
I would have them even with Carlson slightly ahead.
I don't know. I would disagree.
I listen. I feel
Three
the same
Stanley
way about
Cups,
that debate.
a Conn Smythe.
I feel that debate is the same thing. And I remember before the finals, I said he should have won that Conn Smythe. I had my mouth banded shut, and I said Eric that Hedman should have won it. Here's the thing: I would put them in the same tier as I would for Lundqvist and Carey Price comparables. But Eric,
Yeah, yes, I would also put them in the same tier.
Carlson's more special.
But I would say I would put Victor Hedman ahead.
Should Shea Weber be as low as 90? He's a difficult one. He's a difficult one.
Like I understand. I get their list does not. I get their list does not include playoff success, but it's dumb not to say like it's poor.
It's dumb to ignore that stuff.
It's a little, or sorry, like Stanley Cup success. I don't know if they said at the beginning they didn't include like Stanley Cup wins.
Cups are part of trophy points,
which I think so I understand. I understand that from a perspective, but I think when you look at certain guys, you have to be like that. Erik Karlsson, perfect example, didn't win a Stanley Cup, but literally dragged the Ottawa Senators to a conference final, Game 7. What was the original question that you asked me though? Before I put myself on a tangent.
I just think all I was saying was I have them the same tier.
Oh yeah. The thing with Hedman is I don't know, like I'd put Hedman ahead.
I think he's just a more unique defenseman. I think there's stuff.
Carlson, he's more offensively talented than Victor Hedman, but I don't think I think Victor Hedman is by far the more well-rounded defenseman.
We both know I'm not going to change my opinion.
I know.
And you're not going to.
I'm not going to change my opinion.
Bedard. So this is the Bednar thing.
Yeah. I know. I'm not going to change my opinion. You're not. But
yeah. Erik Karlsson's he's the man. He got robbed of a few Norris trophies, to be honest with you too. So is Victor Hedman, though. To be fair, Drew Doughty. See, I don't even want to get it, but Doughty's lower than both of them, I think, which is right.
Yeah.
It's man, I think we should just stop doing this. Didn't the NBA, when they did their top 75, like again, when the NHL did their 100 best players, they didn't rank them; they just released it, right?
They did. Didn't they do it at the awards or something like that?
I don't remember, man. But why not just do a freaking just if you want to have a bit of fun, just rank them by positions, like the best goalies and that. Don't do the 100 thing. Because I get so upset having to say who's the better player overall. Like, how do you expect me to rank Patrick Waugh versus Steve Yzerman? How do I do that? They're completely different positions. You know what I mean? It's just, even though they had Waugh technically above Yzerman and Sakic, which is, again, I think Waugh's the best goalie of all time. I'm interested to see where Nick Lidstrom drops on that list, because you know me.
Yeah, he's your best defenseman.
of all time. Yeah,
Yeah.
him, Crosby, Law. Trying to think who's another skater I would want if I had to have a 3-on-3 of my goats. We got when Daniel gets back, we're gonna do each of us do our 3-on-3 lines for like our we
And
can pick
some
any.
and who's gonna forget to pick Nathan McKinnon?
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. It's not as bad as forgetting Barkov in a league wide draft.
Yeah, that was bad. That
Or
was tough.
that was bad. That's embarrassing. He's not over. Yes, he is.
What?
That's it. Remember the debate of Barkov's not underrated anymore? Yeah, he is.
I don't know. I don't think he's underrated.
I think he
He
is.
was. I don't think he currently is.
Okay.
I think
I think
that lasts for a period of time until 75% of people on TV are like, "Wow, look how good Alex Barkov is." Then
is
it's like,
Jesper
okay, well, he's
Bratt
not.
underrated?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, that's enough. Um, yeah, Jesper Bratt's decided maybe we should stop. All right, Alex, you can do the intro, outro. No.
Can I ask you one more question? Is Nathan McKinnon at number 74?
Is he?
He is.
Oh, that's where they have him.
Yes, yes. Sorry. My question is,
Uh,
should he be at 74? I
he should be
can't.
higher than. Isn't Matthews like 64?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Something like that.
like how? How? No, he should be higher than that. Off the top of my head, I would have to go and look at some of the names, but like it's like again, my marker is if you want to have Matthews there, then I think McKinnon needs to be around there instead. Like this is a guy he just got hit. You know what I would assume in their ranking doesn't help McKinnon is he doesn't have his MVP yet, which is really weird to think of. But like, you're again asking me one of my favorite players. Is Kale
Yeah.
McCullough on that list yet? By the way,
I thought give me one
because
second.
that's a very annoying one to list because of the year he just had. Oh,
He didn't. He's only played 173 NHL regular season games. That feels like he's played a lot more, but that's
and he's
okay.
done that much.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Jeez.
well,
Okay,
yeah.
now I'll do the outro.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe. Rate us if you can on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We are pretty much everywhere. So if you're on it, we're probably on it.
Are we on Stitcher?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Yes.